Welcome to the niggerization of Silicon Valley. We're here today to discuss issues. First of all, hopefully everyone's having a good day, being productive and positive. We're going to move forward and touch on some things that we may have touched on previously in one of our videos. So, the niggerization of Silicon Valley. A lot of people are perplexed when they hear that, because they think, okay, well, what is the niggerization of Silicon Valley? Just let me give you just a small bit of what the niggerization of Silicon Valley means. The niggerization of Silicon Valley is essentially a platform to bring a very minute platform, a very small platform. We're keeping it as low tech as possible. You can even consider it a socio-economic experiment. And what we mean by that is that we're going to put some ideas out into the ethers, so to speak. We're going to put some ideas out into the community, some ideas out into Silicon Valley, and hopefully this will begin to bring change, or at least start, to create dialogue, because we know that there's a problem. We were able to do some research with TechCrunch and Crunchbase, and basically, what are people asking? How much venture capital? I'm just going to read right off my tablet. How much venture capital goes to Black founders? Let's start right there. Black founded, and this is the response based on the research, TechCrunch, Crunchbase. Black founded startups receive less than 0.5% of 140 billion in venture capital funding that all U.S.-based startups received last year. Now, this is going back in 21, where Black founders startups received 1.4% of all venture funding, and that was in 2021. 2022 was the same. 2023 was even worse. So, and I want to put the onus on Black founders. I want to just, because first of all, I want to say this. I see all problems, and this is a problem, but I see all problems as opportunities. So here is an opportunity to see this problem of the lack of funding going to Black founders as an opportunity. So what is the opportunity? You tell me and I'll tell you. And let's just start the dialogue, what we think the opportunity is. The opportunity is for Black founders. Let me say it like this. Let's take it back to the 90s, the golden years, so to speak. The golden years of, if some people call the 90s the golden years, I'm not sure why. And a lot of you were probably born in the 90s. Let's take it back to the 90s, where black entrepreneurs wanted to start record companies, fashion brands. We weren't really exposed to technology back then. I mean, today everybody has tech in their hands, a mini computer in their hands, so we get that. But back in the 90s or the 2000s, we weren't in the technology. Very few of us had computers in our homes. I remember as a small boy, probably a teenager, not a small boy, but a teenager, AOL, America Online, would send out little round CDs. Now what I know is to be CD-ROMs. They would send them out in the mail to us, all in the projects, the housing projects. So we received these in the mail, these little AOL, CD-ROMs to go into a computer. Evidently, AOL never did their research, because Black people in the projects didn't have computers back then. That's the fact. Because what we would do, we would get them in the mail and we use them as Chinese stars, and we'd be throwing them at each other. So it was a lot of fun with those AOL CD-ROM discs. I'll never forget that. We used them as frisbees, but mostly when they hit you, they would literally, you'd feel the sting. But so that just told me AOL never did research. But I'm gonna take it a step further. I had a lady friend back then who lived in Los Gatos Hills, and I had met her, and I was the type of individual that was outgoing. I was from the street, South Central Los Angeles, from the projects, but at the same time I was outgoing, and so that means I crossed color barriers, I crossed boundaries, I crossed the city limits, so to speak. But anyway, we're up in Los Gatos Hills driving around one day, and she said to me, I was probably about 19, 20. She said to me, "Hey, there's Steve Jobs home." And I said, "Who?" She said, "Steve Jobs." And I remember staying quiet because I had never heard of Steve Jobs. But I looked at the home, big, pretty home. It was probably a mansion. I don't know, a mansion or even, I just remember a lot of greenery, a lot of trees, but it was a beautiful home. She said, yeah, that's Steve Jobs' home. And she probably lived maybe 5 minutes from Steve Jobs. But the point is, that left an impression on me, which to this day, because she looked at me with despair. She looked at me with despair. Her name was Kate. She looked at me with despair, as if, wow, you're really uninformed when it comes to technology. You don't even know who Steve Jobs is. No, I didn't. If you would ask me about a rapper or a gangster, or I would have probably knew. I'm sure who, the latest this, the latest that. But what I want to go on to say is that, why aren't we as Black founders, and why aren't we receiving capital? Let's just keep it 100. He's not going to give you anything, okay? Has he ever given you anything? And I want to touch on this real quick. And yesterday, the other day, we spoke about sports, drugs, and entertainment, the only 3 lanes being made available to Black people, primarily Black males: sports, drugs, and entertainment, and also Black females: sports, drugs, entertainment. If you step outside of those lines, we got nothing for you, okay? Whether it be pharmacology, and let's give a big ups to Kamari Pharmacology, who has started a Black-owned pharmacology company. That's based on my research. I could be right, I could be wrong. Inshallah, I'm right. But the point is, he's not going to. He's basically said he's walled off Silicon Valley. When I say he, I'm talking about the European, the stereotypical VC. He's walled off Silicon Valley. He said, "Hey, look, man, we let these guys in. They take over. We knew Kobe was about to take over venture capital. Rest in peace, Kobe. Kobe was going to take over venture capital. We know this. And mysteriously, Kobe came to his end." It's something about that. I love that dude, man. I never met him, but I really did. I loved him, man. Something about him. Just something about him, man. He was the perfect man, the ideal. He was, yeah. We spoke about GWMP, generational white male privilege. Generational white male privilege. Generational white male privilege. So in Silicon Valley, white is might, and if you ain't white, you ain't right. Let's tell it like it is. White, if you ain't white, white is might in Silicon Valley. If you ain't white, you ain't right. So you gotta go in with the tech game knowing that, okay, ain't nobody gonna give me nothing. And good, because don't nobody owe you nothing. These are private companies. Facebook, eBay, Twitter. These are private companies, privately owned companies. Now, a lot of them go public. Actually, Facebook is a public company. I think it went public in 2004 or 5. I can't remember when. But the point is, started in 2004. Probably went public a little later, a few years later, 10, 11, 9, whatever. But the case may be, these are basically private companies, public owned. If you want to own a part of them, purchase stocks, of course. But as private companies, they don't owe you anything. The VCs are private companies, a lot of them, Andreessen and Horowitz, they don't owe you anything. They don't owe us anything. So if we go in with that mentality, we can start to say, hey, we got to do this for ourselves. We got to literally get it out the mud. We got to literally pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, because they're not going to give us anything. So I mean, we can have a pity party, or we can use this opportunity, this so-called problem, which is really an opportunity, to become more self-empowered, to find new and inventive ways to raise capital outside of Silicon Valley. Because Silicon Valley ain't gonna give you nothing, ain't gonna give you a damn thing. Why would they? You've taken over sports, you've taken over entertainment, you've taken over fashion, you've taken all, and I'm talking to the brothers here, you've taken all the white girls. They don't even want a white boy no more, they want to be with a brother. And I'm generalizing, but we know what it's heading for. So all I'm trying to say is that ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. Go in with that mentality. Ain't nobody gonna give me nothing. Scale your businesses. Create something that people truly, truly want, and not only want, but need. Create something that people need. And like Steve Jobs said, they don't even know they need. Sometimes people don't even know what they need. So you gotta create something that will stand the test of times. I'm not talking about where you can flip it in 6 months or a year or two. I'm talking about 5 years, 20 years, 30 years when you're no longer here. And your children or grandchildren, or hey, my granddaddy built that. My grandmama built that. My grandmama built that. Okay, so these are the companies we need to start building, where when you do have an opportunity to present to a VC, and your pitch deck is on point, I mean, and it's something like, wow, we've never seen this before. These are the companies that Black and brown founders need to start creating. If it ain't something, if it don't have the wow factor, like, wow, we've never seen this before. What the fuck is this? I don't know what it is, but this is something we need to invest in. You gotta hit them in the jaw, boom, and make it feel like, man, if we don't invest in this right here, we're going to lose out, because we know our competitors will. Those are the type of companies we need to build and scale. Okay, now I know you say, well, hey, we can't do this without money. You can do anything. Get that in your head. This is the niggerization of Silicon Valley. Take a look, share the video if you get a chance. Hit the like button. You know, much love and respect. Have a great day. I want to leave you with this. You better get it together.